Chris Savina with American Outdoor News, and today we have country music artist and the co-host of Headhunter TV, Nate Hosie. Nate, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, you bet. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for taking the time to have me on. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's funny, as we were just talking, I guide right where you live.
That's right. As soon as you told me where you're hunting around, I started looking through my trail cam pics to see if I have any photos of you on my lease.
Yeah, I'm sneaking around your stand.
Yeah, crazy what a small world it is, man. It's good part of the country over here to be hunting in, and surely some very scenic areas to hunt around here in Northeast PA.
Yeah, I grew up on the New York side. I've always hunted literally 20 minutes, a half hour from where you live. That's where I've hunted my whole life. Yeah,
it's beautiful over here. And the same for me. I mean, not over where you're at, but I've spent a lot of my time growing up going up to New York and hunting as well. A lot of people often in the business, you get running around, I was turkey hunting in New York. They're like, New York? And I'm like, everybody often thinks of the city, and they don't have a clue how beautiful a lot of New York State is, upstate New York, and how good, the hunting can be in certain areas up there for sure.
Yeah, New York does offer a little bit of everything. We have the city, we have the beaches, we have the mountains.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And I can't wait to get out of here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good place to go visit and get out.
Now, I did a little, background on you. You started hunting at 5 years old.
Yeah, so when I was 5 years old, my dad, my mom and dad had got me an Orvis cap gun. They used to make a side-by-side cap gun. And my dad, he had owned a printing business, and my grandfather in his town, he was called the Grouse King. Down in Jessup, they had grown up, and they were all big-time bird hunters and whitetail hunters, and that generation was a huge hunting generation. And so it was within my mom's side, and my dad didn't really grow up hunting, but he had some business partners and stuff that would get together on the weekends, and they'd get bird dogs and go release pheasants and hunt pheasants and grouse and woodcock and really just work the bird dogs. So when I was 5 years old, my dad and my grandpa started taking me over there and let me see the dogs work. And I had my Orvis cap gun. I'd be busting caps at anything that took flight, And my dad, to this day, they'd always say to me, it'd be 10, 12 inches of snow back then. We used to get some heavy winters. And, I can remember looking forward to Saturday morning, hitting Jordan's Diner first thing in the morning, and then making our way to the woods to work bird dogs. And, I was hooked right from the start, at 5 years old. So I'd walk with them and be with them every weekend. As I got older, my grandpa started taking me for whitetail and, obviously was hooked on that. There's a huge tradition of whitetail hunting here in Pennsylvania. So was hooked on whitetail.
National holiday.
That's right. When schools are closed and everything shuts down for deer season, you're brought up in a state that's got a strong hunting heritage that I'm proud of. But, then once I got a little bit older, around, 12 and 13 years old, when I can start really hunting legally, I really took I got hooked on turkey hunting and started out in the fall. I went with a buddy and I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I had taken my first turkey but when I started going with my neighbors, Bob and Butch, and they're, some country certified, hunters and killers, man, they're great woodsmen. And once I was introduced to spring turkey hunting and that conversation that was going on, I was hooked right from the start. I couldn't believe how much I loved that conversation talking to a turkey. So it had become really an obsession. I loved all things hunting, but really yelping to a turkey had become something, that I really was just hooked on. So yeah, from a young age, whether it be, working bird dogs, yelping at a turkey or chasing whitetails, I've been hooked.
Yeah, there's something about turkey hunting that you either get it or you don't. And if you do get it, it's in your blood.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I like the idea of being offensive with it. A lot of times with deer hunting, not that you can't make moves and set stands and do things like that to be offensive, but a lot of times you're sitting, you're waiting, you're kind of being on the defense until one rolls up in there. To where turkey hunting, it's more like, hey, he's gobbling in there, let's go get him. You know what I'm saying? I like that offensive move of turkey hunting.
So what is it about hunting that just gets you?
Well, I think when I was younger, it was the ability to be out there and be with my dad and my grandpa and, to be part of the crew and the camaraderie. And I think as I've gotten older, it's even got more about that to me. Hunting to me has never been about killing, you know what I mean? It's been about everything outside of that. Now, killing is part of it. We respectfully hunt animals and we feed our families and things like that. However, it's always been about the atmosphere for me. You know, when I got into the music scene of things and I started putting out these Woods albums, the first song we ever wrote for it was called Why I Hunt. And it had to do with everything outside of killing anything. And I think if the only reason you hunt is to kill, I think you're missing the point of what it is to be out there, is to appreciate those moments, to appreciate God's creation, to respect the animals that we chase, and to really, you know, just be a conservationist. And, you know, that was something that was instilled in me from a young age. Like I said, no doubt, when I was young and today, I love to punch a tag. There's nothing, don't take that the wrong way. I love punching the tag, but it wasn't about that. I go out in the woods even when season's out and just enjoy walking in the woods. I just love the trees and the birds and the smells of being out there. I mean, the entire atmosphere that the woods brings, I just think it's an incredible place of peace.
Watching the woods come alive, and
no doubt. Yeah,
then
no doubt.
afterwards going back to camp, hanging out with the crew. It's a bonding experience.
Sure is. There's no doubt.
Now, if you had a choice between music and hunting, what would it be?
Obviously the first choice is, could I still do both? If I had to choose one or the other, it's always hunting. I mean, music, you know, music came to me at it's kind of like music found me in a way. You know, I went through a very difficult time in my life. I was going deer hunting with some friends, and my buddy lost control of his truck, and we hit a tree. I broke my neck, and I was in a halo for months, and it was a long recovery time. Well, you know, 10 months following that, we lost one of my younger sisters. Marla was killed in a car accident when a guy ran a stop sign in our town, and
wow.
He ran into my mom and my grandma and my sister. And I went through a really difficult time there, internally, in struggling to find peace and struggling to find reason and struggling to find so many different things. And the woods was always my peace. You know, I would go out in the woods and I'd cry it out, or I'd pray out there, or I'd do whatever. That was where I went to get off my chest what I needed to, and to get the relief I needed to. And then kind of throughout that, actually the day before she was killed, she had played on my guitar that I got when I broke my neck. You know, I was like, oh man, I'm going to learn to play guitar, you know, because I can't do anything else right now. And I tried that for about 30 seconds. It was like, man, this is never going to happen. And, but you know, the day before she was killed, she played the intro to Down on the Corner, that bound, down, 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 down. And it wasn't good, but it was enough to where I was like, man, like, how do you know how to play that? You know, and she's like, oh, my friend Tommy taught me, you know. So following losing her, you know, I remember one day I was looking at that guitar. Matter of fact, I could see it there, and I could just see her. I could feel her. I remembered it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn to play it. And, you know, I've since then, you know, I got into, I was a roofer in high school. I got into a huge cover band in college, and I realized quickly, for not being the smartest guy ever, I realized I'd much rather play music in a cover band in college than be a roofer. So, you know, I played music. And
can't say I blame you.
That's right. We've developed this crazy following. We're playing all kinds of shows. And since those days, I mean, as we sit here today, I've stood on stages and opened for artists and performed at places and put out music and made incredible friendships with artists that I could have never dreamed of in my wildest dreams. And what I've taken from that is sometimes in the worst moments of your life, you find what's supposed to happen. And like I said, if I had to pick, I'm going hunting, but I also have a special place for music because I feel like music found me in a really tough time. And, you know, it was kind of my outlet that pulled me out a little bit, in addition to the woods and the outdoors.
No, you're obviously very spiritual.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, my faith is strong. I thank Jesus every day. I mean, for all that I have, you know, just for my life in general, and my wife and my boys and the opportunities we have just to live here in the USA. I mean, we're all blessed. To live here in the USA. I know we're in some turbulent times and there's often chaos, but I mean, we are fortunate and blessed to wake up every day in this country and walk to the coffee pot if you drink coffee, you know, or just, you know, go grab your water, whatever it is that you do. We are blessed to do it and live in a country, with so many brave men and women that give us that ability and keep us free within our military and law enforcement and first responders, all of that. Yeah. So I'm a spiritual guy.
Now I believe in this, but
yeah.
I know the passing of your sister was a very difficult time. Do you feel her guiding your career as far as your hunting career, your music career?
You know, I do. And I feel like she guides it. You know, I think it's one of those things for me to where, you know, like the hunting side of things, it's like she never hunted, you know, and, you know, my sisters, I grew up with 3 younger sisters. Marla was our sister who we lost, and I have 2 other sisters, Molly and Emily. And I feel like she's guided our lives indirectly in all different ways, you know, and she's there. And and she's our inspiration because in such a tragic event, you learn the value of time. Right. And no matter what it is that you try to be in your life, whether it's hunting or music or athletics or, podcasts or whatever it is that you do, anything, whatever it is, value your time, use your time wisely, celebrate the good times, celebrate, the good moments, celebrate people's successes, whether it's your own or others, because the one thing you learn in tragedy is how fast everything can change. Oh, and I think that was the scariest thing for me was, 1 minute I'm standing on the porch with my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. And, she's getting ready to go to Mexico on a missions trip. And, we hear the ambulances roaring through town and we pray for whoever that is. And, minutes later, my younger sister's screaming, crying, telling me there's been a horrible accident. And in that moment, like understanding how fast everything changed me forever. It's not that I was a heathen growing up or anything like that, or this bad person. That it's not anything like that, but I just value time so much different because I'm horrified at how fast it can be taken. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned to celebrate positivity. Does it, you wake up, you be positive, you look for the good. It doesn't mean you don't get stressed. It doesn't mean, of course not, but it means you choose to beat it. You choose to say, hey, I'm going to look at the glass half full no matter what, because I know what the other side of the glass is. You know what I mean? I've been there. And I often tell people, they're like, oh, Hosie's always positive, or this or that. It's like, well, it's not because I've just walked the road of perfection or I do walk the road of perfection. It's just that I know the darkness. I've been there. I know heartache. I know hurt. I know let down. And I chose a long time to go to rise up over all of that. And that's what I try to do. And, no easier way to do it than through something you love, music and hunting and my family and friends and all that.
And through tragedy and adversity, there's two roads you could take.
That's right. That's right.
You
would want us to bring something good from it, and I try every day to do that.
So, what have you gotten out of hunting?
Well, hunting for me, like I said, I mean, from a young age, it's instilled so much into me. It's helped me understand so much connection to, God, connection to the animals we chase, connection to the woods. It's given me such respect and appreciation for just the outdoors, for just the peace of going out there. And, honestly, to be able to, my greatest hunts are taking place now, like being able to share the woods with my little boy, Cruz. He took his first buck this year, his first doe, his first turkey. And of any of the hunts that I've been blessed to be a part of, nothing beats being out there with Cruz or with Tiffany or with Nash, with my family, and being able to share that heritage and being able to see them smiling when they see deer come out. And again, it's not about punching tags, just watching deer, hearing turkeys gobble, whatever it may be, and seeing the excitement on their face. I mean, I don't know where my life would be without hunting in the outdoors. I really don't, because it's such a crucial part of every one of my days.
It's a part of who you are. It's not something we do.
In that song, Why I Hunt, it's, the chorus is, it's the way the good Lord speaks through the breeze and the trees when I'm sitting in a white oak stand. I do it because it's in my blood. It's just a part of who I am, and that's the truth. It's in my blood. It's just who I am.
Who are your hunting heroes? Who inspires you?
I think that a lot of the guys and that took time to take me growing up. My dad, my grandpa, Bob, Butch. My buddy Jeff, a lot of my friends, really. I pay attention to a lot of the way that my friends hunt, and older guys, younger guys. But within the hunting business, there's so many too that have inspired me along the ways. That I can now call great friends. Jim Shockey, Michael Waddell, David Glenn, Bill Jordan, Eddie Salter. So many of these people. And keep in mind, there's too many that I could even name that I look up to in the outdoor space. Those are just a few, but I see the good in everybody. I watch people and I look for inspiration every day in all. I like the way he does that, or I like the way she does that. There's a lot of great women on the Outdoors channel as well. Bachman, Eva Shockey, Tiffany Lakoski, Nicole. So many women who are inspiring, and I take inspiration from a lot that they do too. And so I've got a lot of hunting heroes because I love the sport so much that when I watch somebody hunt who I know loves it like I do, even like my buddies Hunter Wallace, Culpepper, Philip Culpepper. I mean, I relate to all these people because they love it like I do. And Birdsong, you know, my boy Birdsong, you know, co-hosting Headhunters and Scuba. I look at every one of these people as inspirations in the outdoor space because we all love it. We all grew up doing it. So, you know, I have a lot of heroes, but my number one, if I had to pick my number one, I'd have to say my grandpa. You know, I mean, you know, my grandpa took me out with my dad, and, you know, he took me for my first whitetail, and you know, we spent time sitting there at the tree eating coconut cream pies, and I'd eat mine and his by the time it was 9 a.m. And, you know, I miss him every day that I'm out in the woods, but I know he's watching down from the best seat in the house, you know.
Sure.
So that'd be my number one, just because, you know, he really instilled it in me from a young age.
Well, we certainly have an inviting industry where people are always willing to help, whether you're in the professional side or, you know, you're a casual hunter. Everybody's always looking to help.
100%. I mean, shoot, another one that I forgot to mention, I don't know how, but is Ted Nugent. I mean, Nugent was a hunting hero of mine. I mean, you know, an absolute rock and roll legend. I had the opportunity to open up for him years ago in Ohio, and that was one of the coolest moments of my life. And I mean, he is such a force for hunters and a voice, you know, for the good of conservation and hunting. I mean, that dude, I can't say enough about him either, man. Uncle Ted is just, I mean, he's a legend.
I've seen Uncle Ted a number of times in concert, and
yeah.
he's been on the cover of American Outdoor News as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my dad came with me, and I opened up for him, and, you know, Ted's up there playing, and he gives a shout out, you know, thanks, Nate, you know, for being here and all that stuff. And my dad's like, you know, the craziest part of that for me is me and your mom went to see him, you know, 30 years ago, whatever. Yep. And he's like, and now I'm sitting here listening to him tell my son, you know, thanks for being a part of the show. He's like, it's just wild to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So
cool.
are your music influences, are they all country?
No. You know, matter of fact, honestly, growing up, I was a lot more rock based than I was, country per se. You know, I grew up listening to a lot of like Tom Petty, John Mellencamp, the Black Crowes, Guns N' Roses, you know, Motley Crue, Goo Goo Dolls, Matchbox 20. But in the 90s, you know, I really got into 90s country, loved like Red Akins, and, you know, now I got to be a really good friends with him and hunting buddies. And so that 90s country really kind of connected to me, and I still love 90s country a lot. And as I become, you know, more into music, Nashville has a really cool connection between kind of rock and country, you know, and you know, I still kind of have that rock influence behind a lot of the music that I write, you know what I mean? With the sprinkle of country. I really have a lot of respect for the classic country feel, the music. And I think that's what my favorite thing about music is. And like going to Nashville is the grassroots sound of things and creating something. I wouldn't consider myself a great musician. You know, I think music came in at a good time or a great singer, but I have the ability to be out amongst incredible musicians and great singers and artists and producers that can take something that I write that they may think is good and then make it 10 times better because of their insane talent, whether it be through playing or producing or helping vocally as to where I want to go. So, I mean, you know, I would say I was more rock based, but also, you know, obviously strong country based. And, you know, lyrically, when I'm writing music, my lifestyle is, I mean, it's where we live. Montail is just a small little town in the country. And,
sure.
You know, it's just what I live. But I mean, I don't mind to have a distorted guitar on there every now and then. You know what I mean?
Well, country music certainly changed a lot from, my wife left me, took my truck and my dog to where it is today.
Well, it's kind of like they really need to do something with country, how they did with rock. Like they had, you know, soft rock, easy listening, rock, or, you know, they had all these different genres. And really country's done that, but they just haven't really done, you know, country pop per se, or it's still considered country, which it's really, there's just so many branches to it now. But I mean, I'm one of those guys. I'm not a hater. I could appreciate anybody who gets out there and gives it their best, no matter what it is. If it's something I like, I dig it. If it's not, hey, I still respect you for getting out there and doing your thing. And, you know, there's, it takes all kinds in the world.
So, what Headhunter TV?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
So that's a really cool story. You know, we were actually just talking about this the other day. You know, Randy and I, as I said earlier, you know, I mean, he just loves it. He's ate up with hunting, one of the best hunters I've ever been able to share the woods with, and, you know, just a great person. And Scuba and our team, Skid, who we had for a while, and all the freelancers that we work with. Years ago, I was working for Hunter Specialties. I was working as a producer and cameraman, and Randy was working for Whitetail Freaks at the time. And him and I didn't know each other. I knew of him because I had seen a lot of the Whitetail Freaks productions, and big fan of Down and Candy. And one day at the Pennsylvania Sports Show, I was just running a hen squeal. There's turkey call, and I forget what he said, but he popped off something, and I popped off something back smart to him, and we just kind of became buddies. And every show that year, we'd run into one another or go out and have dinner somewhere, a bunch of friends, and socialize. And he had told me he had this idea for this show, Headhunters TV. And at the time, I was just going to help out with the production side of things, do some camera work and things like that. And as we kind of spent more time together and I'd be around him more, he's like, man, what do you think about, potentially being a personality on the show? And I was like, it's your call, man. You know what I mean? It's your call on what you want to do. And obviously I had been honored, and, one thing led to another, and he gave me a shot at it. And here we are 13 years later, with an incredible show, great fan base, and, can't think of a better way to make a living promoting the, hunting in the outdoors in a positive light.
Well, that seems to be the roadmap to greatness. Yeah, Lee and Tiffany started the same way. Michael Waddell started the same way, running camera, guest appearances, and now they're megastars.
And I think the cool thing about running a camera, and I think from being a producer side, is, whether you're a producer or whether you're in front of the camera, an on-camera personality in any way, being a producer and being behind the camera, I think it only helps somebody who gets out in front of the camera understand, because, as a deer's coming or a turkey or whatever it is that you're hunting, elk, moose, whatever, when I'm communicating, Scuba films me a ton. We've been a part of some amazing hunts. He's my man. He's like my right-hand man in all that we do. And we have such a great connection, not only in our friendship, but, when we're sitting there working and we're working a turkey or have a deer coming or an elk, the communication's always key. And I can almost visualize what he's seeing to an extent. You know what I mean? To an extent, because I've been there. I've been behind that camera. Now, granted, Scuba is a much, much more advanced producer than I ever was, but I could still understand through the lens. If he's saying, hey, man, no, I don't have him, there's no shot. It's up to him. He's the boss. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I do think running a camera, being a producer helps in a lot of ways, especially in the television world. If you are, do become an on-camera personality at some point, knowing how to run a camera is a great thing to know how to do, especially now. I mean, I film all my family stuff, my little boys and my wife, and I have just as much fun running a camera as I do being in front of it.
I do great Zoom.
Yeah. There you go. That's all. Zoom, as long as you can zoom and hit record, you're set. You're set. Let's talk about white balance.
I forgot about recording on a couple of them, so it just turns on automatically.
There you go.
Now, your on your show, you have this distinct face paint. Yeah,
so it's kind of funny, the face paint started out, and still to a certain extent today, is a bullseye. You know what I mean? It's a bullseye for the haters, but I kind of love it. It started out when we went through this all that tragedy and stuff. I thought to myself, how could I kind of give my sister a little love without, it's obviously a super sad story, so I don't want to be a downer in any way, but what's a little tribute I can kind of give to her in what I do as I go for this dream that I've had. And I was like, well, one day I was like, man, I kind of paint my face, and I started kind of messing around. I came down and I was like, what if I kind of mimicked the letter M? I mean, obviously it's not an actual M, you know what I mean? It's not obvious. Yeah. But, it comes down my face, it comes down my nose, and then it comes down the other side. And people, who's he think he is? Batman? Who's he Kiss? Or, and really, in the beginning, it was just like, oh gosh, you didn't want to read any comments. But all these years later, man, I'm so thankful for something as simple as face paint, because, you have kids going as Halloween. You have adults, you have men, women, they're going out hunting. They're tagging me, hey, I'm painted up like Hosie tonight. And I'm not the first one to do it by any means. All I did was simply take something that's been done and just kind of make it something that was symbolic to me. And the idea of it not being obvious, well, she's not obviously here either, but I feel her all the time. She's still there. And, to see a positive reaction to that, me and my buddy Culpepper, it's still a fight all the time. He's like, I call him, Phillips Paintless Platoon, because, it's always back and forth. Man, no, there's no face paint allowed on my show. You know what I mean? We're still, it's all in good fun, but, it's got a cool little meaning, simple meaning behind it. And, the fact that Culpeper alone doesn't like it, I'll be painting until I'm 100. You know what I mean? Just because even though now sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I got to paint. It's 95 out, or in Texas. But it's really become a pretty cool little positive identity, if you want to call it. You know what I mean? People have really taken to it and recognized it, and it's been really fun. It's been real fun. Yeah, it is.
That's great.
Because like I said, I'm just glad most people don't, like in the beginning, I'm like, I'm not a villain. Like, I'm a nice guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like, oh, who does this guy think he is,
It's fun. It's like, it's like putting on a uniform.
That's right. It's all in good fun, man.
All right. So, what can we expect from Headhunters this year?
So with Headhunters, we've got a great season coming. It'll air on the Outdoor Channel at the end of June, Thursday nights. And we air 5 times a week. I have to look at the new air times, but Thursday night. I think it's either 8 or 8:30 is our prime. We've got a great season coming. We're insanely blessed last year with an amazing season. As we move into this season, we're going to hunt hard and try to bring the best, most positive outdoor TV show we can to everybody. I've got a bunch of new music coming this year. Got a bunch of concerts that I'll be playing throughout the year. So we're just going to keep on, man. We're going to be out there celebrating the good Lord, all our blessings, and celebrating the USA everywhere we go, and thanking God for all the blessings of our families and safety and all the people who support us.
Is it going to be all North America, or do you have any destination hunts in mind?
Right now it's all North America here, leading into this season, but, definitely have some talks about some bigger things coming down the pipe, not this coming season, but the following.
So you arrange your touring around hunting season.
Correct. Yeah, hunting comes first, but if I can play a show here and there, I'm in.
All right. So where can we find Headhunter TV, and where can we find you musically?
So Headhunters TV is on the Outdoor Channel. You can also find us on, Facebook, Instagram, anything like that under Headhunters TV. We're also on, My Outdoor TV. As far as myself personally, you can follow my personal accounts, Nate Hosie, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and my music is available on iTunes, Spotify, all the bigger platforms for music, and that's where you can find us at. We look forward to anybody who wants to join the crew and come along for the journey. We'd love to have them.
You miss being able to walk into a store and buying an album?
Oh, I do. I miss the simplicity of a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I miss the simplicity of a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of good that comes from technology and a lot of bad at the same time. You know what I mean?
I agree.
It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll follow you on social media, and we look forward to the upcoming season.
Sounds great. God bless you, brother, and God bless the USA.
Thanks again.
You bet.